Hello brains! If you clicked on this video, I'm guessing you either are trying to improve your financial situation in general, or if you're like me, you've recently become aware that your credit score is not as good as it needs to be for something you'd like to accomplish. Let's talk about how to fix that. In many countries, the ability to rent an apartment, buy a house, or get a car depends not only on how much money we make, but on how good our credit score is. Lenders want to know not only if we can afford to make the payment, but are we going to? And they determine that by looking at our credit score, which is largely determined by how well we've handled our financial responsibilities in the past, which for a lot of us with ADHD is not well. Our impulsivity and inattention means sometimes we spend money we can't afford to spend, and other times we forget to pay bills we had the money to pay. We also tend to have far less of a financial safety net. Sometimes that's due to factors outside of our control, but sometimes it's because we are being unrealistically optimistic about our finances and living right up to or even beyond our means, expecting that we'll be able to pay off debt later, which doesn't always pan out. On average, we make less than our neurotypical peers, and we pay more in what's called the ADHD tax. Fines and fees and higher interest rates that could have been avoided if our ADHD challenges hadn't gotten in the way. Without a safety net, any expense we forget to plan for or didn't even realize was coming our way becomes a financial crisis. And if a true emergency comes up, like we get fired, we're screwed. So we max out our credit cards, or we have to miss payments. And while it can take years to build up a good credit score, it doesn't take nearly as long to ruin it, at which point we sometimes just give up on it. We feel so discouraged or so ashamed that we kind of just stick our head in the sand and pretend it doesn't exist, until we need a new car or a new place to live and we have to figure out how to fix it overnight, which I have done repeatedly. Things that have helped me fix my credit relatively quickly: disputing problems on my credit report, being added as an authorized user to somebody else's credit card who has good credit history, and paying down my credit card balances if I have the money to do that. Those things all have a pretty high impact. But there's only so much we can do to improve our credit quickly. And even if we do those things, even if we get through this crisis, it doesn't change the underlying problem that we have a hard time managing our finances. So A, we might just find ourselves back in this situation again, and B, some of what we do when we're in this kind of crisis can actually make things worse, which I hadn't really thought about until I was about to make some of those same mistakes again, and luckily talked to an expert in ADHD money management before I did. This is Rick Webster from Renify, and I'll let him explain.
When we're in crisis, in many ways it's too late. Choices become closed off to us, and the deeper into crisis we get, the fewer choices we have, the fewer options we have. We can't pay the rent, we put our head in the sand, now we're being evicted, we still don't take any action. We're also usually in the throes of an emotional pre-meltdown, and it makes it very difficult to make good decisions. We solve the problems of the moment with little or no thought to the long-term consequences. And that sets us up for the next crisis. It's all part of this ADHD tax that we pay, and we must find a way to be more proactive in our lives. And for sure, that is doable. It is absolutely doable.
So let's use some of this crisis energy to address the underlying issue. The ADHD is ruining our finances. According to Rick, there are 3 ways to do this. 1, automate everything. While a lot of money experts recommend managing your finances better by using cash or setting up elaborate systems to track it, Rick recommends the opposite for those of us with ADHD: not having to track it. Keeping track of cash is hard for us. We lose things. And if we set up elaborate systems, we have to actually use those systems, which most of us won't. Automating everything is the #1 piece of advice I've gotten, not only from Rick, but also from people in this community. And there are a lot of ways we can automate our finances. Set up direct deposit, set bills to auto pay. Ideally all of them, but at least the ones that will affect our credit, the ones where people have loaned us money. Car payments, credit cards. Set up alerts. A lot of banks have an option to send us automatic alerts when our balance is running low or we spend over a certain amount. If we have things that aren't on auto pay, we can also set alerts for ourselves to remember to pay them. Sign up for a credit tracking app that will automatically alert us if anything changes on our credit score, so we don't have to think to look. We can also make saving money automatic. I have learned that the only way for me to not spend money is to not have that money in my account. So I set up automatic transfers to a savings account. This is called paying yourself first. Sometimes I still have to transfer some of it back, but I do save more than I would otherwise. 2, build up a safety net. If we spend as much as we make every month, Any extra expenses that come up, car repairs, Christmas, are going to put us over budget, at which point we either have to dip into savings, or if we don't have any savings, put it on a credit card, which is going to cost us more. We could try to track and predict these expenses and divide them out over 12 months, and there are tools that can help us do that. But that can still be hard with ADHD. And if we have a decent sized safety net, we don't have to. So rather than trying not to spend more than we earn each month, the goal here is to deliberately spend less than we earn, to have a gap between what we make and what we spend. There are times in life when building up a safety net is not really an option, but there are times when it is. And if we're looking for it, we can take advantage of it. For example, if you get a substantial raise, you can set aside half of it to improve your quality of life, and the other half, transfer it directly into savings so you never even see it. If you see you're getting billed for an app or a service you're not still using, cancel it as soon as you see it and add that amount to the amount that you're transferring into savings every month. If you finish paying off a credit card, add whatever you were paying on that card to the next card. This is called the snowball method. Or if you don't have any safety net at all, transfer it into savings instead. According to Rick, it's important to build up at least a small safety net before worrying about paying down debt. Otherwise, as soon as something comes up, we're gonna have to go right back into debt. That said, we don't want to increase our debt either. So 3, put systems in place to help curb impulse spending. Impulse spending isn't the only reason people go into debt. According to Rick, there are actually a few of those. Sometimes we spend money we don't have out of desperation, like if we've just lost a job or we're going through a divorce and we're just trying to stay afloat. Sometimes we do it because we're chronically living beyond our means, trying to have a champagne lifestyle on a beer budget. And according to Rick, those things have different and I'm guessing more complicated solutions. But impulse spending is an issue for a lot of people with ADHD. We actually cover that in another episode. You can check that out here, but it's worth bringing up again because it's something I get asked about a lot. It's really unrealistic to expect ourselves to not spend any money impulsively. But if we're spending money that we can't afford to spend, there are some strategies that can help. Decide on a budget before you start shopping. Once we start, we and advertisers are really good at rationalizing why it really does make sense to get the nicer one. If you have no idea how to budget, you've never done it before, You Need a Budget is a great place to start. Go shopping with a list. Stick to the list. And have rules for impulse purchases. If it's under $5, maybe that's cool. $5 to $100, maybe you should think about it. If it's over $100, maybe you go home, wait a day, talk to somebody before you do it. Or if you don't want to wait, you can try my brother's idea. Wait 1 minute for every dollar you didn't intend to spend. And don't put impulse purchases on credit. Keep the cards open. It can actually hurt our credit to close them. But credit cards should only be for true emergencies or monthly expenses we can afford to pay off. Amazon doesn't have my credit card info for a reason. Neither does Apple Pay. They both make it way too easy to spend money that I didn't intend to spend. So those things get linked to my debit card. If your impulse spending is cutting into the money you need for bills, you can even set up multiple accounts. Have one for income and expenses and another for an allowance, basically, money you can spend. Finances are a struggle for a lot of ADHD brains, but there are a few things we can do to make them easier. Automate everything, build up a safety net, and put systems in place to help us curb impulse spending. If you need some support doing this or you're just not sure where to start, Renify has a course I apparently inspired called The Road to Financial Recovery that's starting on December 4th. There's an ADHD personal finance course starting on December 7th, and I will also be doing a live Q&A with Rick so you can come and ask any questions you might have. Thank you so much to Rick Webster for helping us out with this episode. And thank you to the Brain Advocates and all my Patreon brains for supporting not only me financially so that I can do this work, but our growing team. Let us know what works for you in the comments below, and I will see you next video. Bye, brains!